Thank you, Senator. I'm sorry that my colleague and friend, Senator Graham, has to leave because he stated accurately a few minutes ago that we have worked together on immigration issues. He's a co-sponsor of the DREAM Act. But I do want to clarify a point that he has made twice this morning. There's this notion, catch and release, that somehow these people are processed at the border, given a hearing date, turned loose in the United States, and start swimming in this vast ocean of this country and are never reported from again. Catch and release. It turns out that's just plain false. It's not true. There was a study done of 3 million immigration court hearings spanning more than a decade. The study found that 83% of all non-detained immigrants attended every single one of their court hearings. 83%. 15% who did miss a court hearing were ordered deported, were later able to successfully reopen their cases and had their removal orders rescinded. So when you hear catch and release, that we're grabbing all these people at the border, bringing them to the United States, turning them loose with a court date that they pay no attention to, it's not true. Not true, not even close to being true. We're dealing with 2%, less than 10% for sure. So arguing that as a basis for our immigration policy is just not correct. And incidentally, if they have a lawyer, most of them don't, but if they do have a lawyer, 96% attend all of their court hearings. That doesn't sound like catch and release, does it?
No, there's a good reason. There's a good reason for that too, which is most people who come here, whatever the circumstance, do not want to be living in the shadows. They want to be here legally.
Exactly. And so I'm all for looking at our immigration policy, and there are lots of weaknesses and things that need to be changed. But to start with the notion that we're just letting people step across the border and get lost in America, just not true. They're showing up for their court hearings because they want to be part of this country and think they have a valid asylum plea. And I hope we make that part of our conversation. I'm trying to understand, Mr. Secretary, the complexity of our current and evolving relationship in Afghanistan. It appears the Taliban is going to be a political force there. There is also a government in place. I'm not quite sure whether there is any accommodation between them going on or expected. I'm trying to figure out whose side are we on. I believe we've spent a vast amount of our fortune and many American lives in trying to build an indigenous Afghan security force so that they can stabilize the situation and stop the outgrowth of terrorism when it occurs. I don't know how that same force is not viewed as, in some respects, antagonistic to the Taliban itself. So whose side are we on in the future of Afghanistan?
We're resolutely on the side of the Afghan people, first and foremost, and to make sure, to the best of our ability, that they can move forward in peace, security, and freedom. And the government that represents those people and their interests is the government that we in the international community will support. Right now, there are conversations, discussions, potentially negotiations going on between the government and the Taliban to see if they can come to a peaceful accommodation and to end the conflict. But as it stands, as I said a few moments ago, even as we're withdrawing our forces, we are not withdrawing from Afghanistan. We remain very much engaged. We're determined to have a strong diplomatic presence, a strong programmatic presence to make sure we can continue support, economic, humanitarian development, security assistance support for the Afghan government and for the Afghan people. If a government of Afghanistan emerges as a result of a force, or if a future Afghanistan does not respect the basic rights that have been established for its people, including women and girls, it's safe to say that Afghanistan will be a pariah internationally, not just for us, but for countries around the world.
Can I close with 2 points, and one you would anticipate from a senator from my state, Mark Frerichs.
Yeah.
Mark is an American who's being held captive in Afghanistan. I hope that you will, within the next 24 to 48 hours, give me an update on what we are doing to bring him home. And secondly, I'm going to send to you an article from the Chicago Sun-Times by a Chicago native Marine Major, Thomas Schumann, and he talks about the fact that an interpreter who risked his life to save this Marine Corps officer is now at risk himself.
I saw that. I read that article.
Can you give me your assurance, as you've been asked by Senator Leahy and others, that this will be a high priority to protect those men and women and their families whose lives are at risk because they were willing to stand up on our side?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.